About 2 months ago, both Pulsar and Optimum released an exoskeleton mouse at the same time. Like, they literally announced it on the same day. On the surface, they look quite similar. A lean, skeletal body, fingertip grip focused shape, but you would be vastly wrong to assume that. These are actually two completely different mice with two completely different philosophies. The Pulsar is a carbon fiber skunkworks premium product made in Korea, hand assembled by Pulsar staff in-house, designed to be an extremely premium product. The Optimum, a 3D printed science experiment that literally throws everything out of the window in the name of maximum lightweight performance. But the question is, with these two philosophies, who was right? Now, a quick disclaimer. I would actually compare the new Optimum mouse Zero Blade instead of the normal Zeromouse. But unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on the Zeromouse blade. So we're going to be using the OG Zeromouse from 2 years ago. But because this is more of a comparison of philosophies rather than the mouse on its own per se, I still think the Zeromouse is a great representation of Optimum's ethos when designing a gaming mouse. While it's not as high performance or light as the new Zeromouse blade, it's still significantly lighter than basically anything else on the market, which is kind of the purpose of a Zeromouse. However, because it's a YouTuber product, it needs donor parts from gaming mice that already exist. The original Zeromouse used donor PCB and battery from the Razer Viper V2 Pro. The new one, the Zeromouse blade, uses a donor PCB and battery from the Final Mouse ULX, which is what Optimum figured was the best on the market. And it's also not necessarily built for sturdiness, since it's 3D printed and meant for lightweight performance. As a result, the X2F is significantly heavier. It's 38 grams versus the Zeromouse blade's, but it also is significantly stiffer, like insanely so. And that's because it uses a carbon composite material and it can really squeeze the hell out of it without even flexing or bending this. That means unless you're very careful and willing to deal with protecting, casing, and being super gentle with the Zeromouse, it's not a piece of equipment that you can necessarily rely on if you are a professional, someone going to tournaments, going to events, going to LANs, or bringing it around. On the other hand, the X2F, so long as you put it in a case, will probably be fine, since it's actually sturdier than most of the heavier plastic gaming mice on the market, just by sheer structural rigidity and its materials. So in terms of build quality, Pulsar's philosophy is definitely much more reliable here. But the question is that build quality sacrifice on the Optimum Zeromouse worth the performance gains? And I have to say, the performance might be worth the sacrifice. When you pair it with a sleeve and a glass mousepad, the friction coefficient is so low, you would think you're ice skating with your wrists. It does mean, however, that super low friction results in you basically not being limited by anything except your wrist movements and the accuracy of it. It is great for reducing the strain on your arm, for feeling less RSI, and more importantly, it's great if you can train your muscle memory and your arm to move very precisely and very quickly. As most people use heavier mice with cloth pads, it takes a lot of practice and dedication to get used to unlearn the muscle memory of relying on the friction, the weight, and the stopping power of a cloth pad to stop your mouse from flicking. So if you are playing a flick-heavy, low-sensitivity game like Valorant or Counter-Strike, the Zeromouse is probably not a great idea unless you're willing to try learning the hell out of it, which will take time. In tracking though, it feels amazing because there's basically zero inertia to this mouse. All your millimeter, micrometer precise adjustments have nothing inhibiting you from inputting it. So the mouse feels very responsive and able to be nimble and quick on its feet. Now the X2F is a lot heavier, so it feels a lot more traditional. But after the Optimum mouse, it does feel heavy. And the fact that it's short, compact, and you kind of usually hold it quite far out front with a fingertip grip means that its center of gravity does create some notable moment or torque on your wrist, so it does feel a lot heavier than its 38 gram weight might suggest. It's still a very light gaming mouse. If you're coming from like a G Pro Super Light, it will feel night and day, but if you are someone that has tried a sub-gram mouse, then yeah, the X2F does feel a little sluggish. As for the grip, as I've mentioned, the X2F is more forgiving. And that's simply because you get 4 big panels to put your 5 fingers on, which is great. You can put your fingers anywhere. Whereas with the Optimum Zeromouse, if your fingers aren't set up very similarly to how Optimum is, you're kind of out of luck. It's designed for his 5 fingers and his 5 fingers alone. And if your hands are similar to his, great. It's going to feel amazing and natural because really, these 5 contact points are all you need. If your hands are too small or too big, it's gonna be awkward and uncomfortable. But this actually leads me to an idea, a pitch for Pulsar with the X2F. Since this is from Pulsar Lab, which is all about customizability, what if you allowed people to customize the side panels and top panels of the X2F so that they can save weight to fit their grip style? I know plenty of people that hold their mouse only one way. And if I only held my mouse at the back of the mouse, I really wouldn't mind if Pulsar gave me the option to get holes basically cut into the side and the top of the mouse to save weight on material on those areas of the mouse. I'm not sure how feasible this is considering it is a carbon composite plastic, but hey man, I only hold the mouse like this. So if you could cut off this top part of the mouse that I don't use anyway, I would love that weight saving. The next thing that I want to compare are the clicks, and this is an interesting philosophical debate once again. Optimum chose to hinge his clicks at the front, which is quite cool. It's quite a unique way to reduce the complexity of a monobody 3D printed shell. There's nothing to attach here, it's just a singular piece of plastic because it's hinged at the front. But it also has a few advantages. Because it's hinged at the front, when you put your fingertips on the clicks itself, the weight of your fingers are all the way at the opposite end of the hinge. That results in a lot of tension in the clicks when you rest your fingers on the clicks. And because of this tension perpetually weighing the click down just above its actuation point, you basically get zero pre-travel since your weight is already eliminating that pre-travel for you. That results in a very instantaneous, fast, crisp click that really feels like the moment you move your finger a little bit, it actuates, which is awesome. But because it relies on the weight of your fingertips to tension the damn clicks, if you have very heavy fingertips or you like pressing down on your first and middle fingers, you might misactuate the clicks quite a bit. The X2F, on the other hand, are a very traditional click setup, hinged at the back and screwed down. However, these are the most perfect implementation of clicks I've ever used on any gaming mouse in my life. And I think there is a good few reasons for that. Number one, it uses Huano Pink Dot Blue Shell switches, which are mechanical and feel amazing and are simply some of the best. Number two, the clicks use a very stiff carbon composite plastic, which results in the tension of the clicks being very, very rigid and very, very consistent throughout. And number three, because this is a premium Skunkworks product, I think they tune each click on each X2F to absolute precision, which is wonderful. You get no pre-travel, no post-travel, and a crisp click that has very short actuation throw that just feels so satisfying and so good. Even if I didn't use this mouse, I would still keep it as a fidget toy because of the clicks being so satisfying. Now, of course, because it's using mechanical switches, some people might be concerned about its lack of performance against optical clicks. But this has a very interesting thing going on in its firmware to help mitigate that. This has something called a double click rejection algorithm. At least that's what I'm naming it. Essentially, it's an algorithm that helps prevent double clicking, meaning you don't have to use debounce delay. And debounce delay is very important for mechanical clicks because it prevents double clicking. It basically works by pausing the click after it's been actuated for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 milliseconds so that it can reset to its normal position and stop kind of wiggling and bouncing with vibrations so that it doesn't cause a secondary actuation after you press the first time, which is the double clicking. This delay, this 1, 2, 3 milliseconds in pausing causes mechanical switches to just not be as fast as optical switches. It's something that it must have because over time with mechanical switches, plastic and metal strings in it is going to deform, causing double clicking if you don't have such a delay. But with the algorithm, you don't need a delay, keeping its performance much closer to optical switches, and frankly, the difference is so minimal anyways between mechanical and optical, it definitely feels more than fast enough. And actually, I think the clicks are a good analogy for the philosophy differences between the Pulsar and the Optimum. One has a traditional design but pushed to extreme detail and perfection, So you still have great build quality, still has reliability, still is a product that you can trust as a pro player, still is something that you can bring around, something that's designed to last, just executed to absolute peak performance. The Optimum, on the other hand, just doesn't give a damn about anything traditional. Doesn't care at all about anything on the market and just wants to make something as crazy as possible for what Optimum deems as the most important in a gaming mouse. Ultra lightweight, and that results in both mice being absolutely insane, just in two different ways. They're in two different parts of the same psych ward. One is like an obsessive perfectionist, and one is an obsessive reductionist. And both are easily some of the best gaming mice I've ever used. As for which one you should buy, the Zeromouse Blade or the Pulsar X2F, if you're someone that wants the most extreme thing possible and you don't care about whether it lasts because you just want that experience, get the Zeromouse Blade. But if you're someone that wants the most extreme possible gaming mouse that is a mass-produced product, that is still meant to be reliable and last for a couple of years, the X2F is really the craziest that I've ever seen or ever felt. But the truth is, at the end of the day, if you're someone that actually cares about budget and value and you need to save money, and you want a 35-gram fingertip grip gaming mouse that is easy to get your hands on and reasonably priced, unfortunately, Pulsar already made that 6 months ago. It's called the X2 Crazy Light, and you could have gotten it yesterday.